You've probably measured your success as an educator hundreds of times, but when was the last time you measured your health? Hey, if this is your first time meeting me, my name is Harper. I help educators stop losing their health to the education system. So every school year, you know all the data, right? We often talk about data. You know your students' data, you know their grades, you know their test scores, you know how much growth they've had, you know how much their growth has declined. You have been digging deep into data, like all of the data all the time, right? So you can measure your success as an educator, you can measure the success of the students. But when it comes to your health, my question is, how much have you measured your success with that? Now, what are some things that you can use to measure the success of your health? Your A1Cs, which would tell whether your blood sugar is normal, if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic. You want to look at your cholesterol. Do you know the test scores for your cholesterol? What about your blood pressure? Okay, because these are the things that's going to help you succeed and not have to lose yourself to the education system. So I was uniquely and wonderfully made with one kidney, right? And so my doctor, actually, when I went to her a few days ago, one of the things that really took my attention was this. She said, you know, we're going to really look at your kidney, continue to monitor it, and just look at the numbers, make sure your kidney is functioning well. If we do see a decline in your kidneys, one of the things we're going to have to start considering is, well, what's happening with your lifestyle, or what's happening with your work? Do you have a job or a career where you don't really use the restroom, or you feel like you don't have time to use the restroom? And as soon as she said that, I said, boom, that's exactly the conversation that I've been having with you guys about, you know, not losing your health to the education system. And so there are going to be many times where you're going to just think, well, if I am skipping lunch here and there, or if I can't really get to the gym after work, right? You look at these as one-time occurrence, but it's happening over and over and over again. And so the more that those habits pick up, the more that you are creating those patterns, then the more your health would be affected. Let alone, let's not talk about stress, right? If we talk about stress, that even affects things like your blood pressure, okay? It affects how you eat, okay? Because when you have stress, it increases cortisol, and cortisol tends to make you want to eat more, okay? It makes you want to eat sugary things or things that have a lot of salt. And so now your cholesterol is increasing, your blood pressure increasing. And so as I talk about oftentimes, you then get this cycle. And so you want to make sure that as you are maneuvering through the education system, that you are picking up on what are the things that I am doing during the school day that may be affecting my health. And so the minute that she talked about the kidney and talked about, we might have to look at your lifestyle and what's happening at work, I thought about how many times I've heard educators say they really can't go to the restroom, right? That has been my reality too. Not often, but that has been my reality. It's a lot of our realities. Now, I'm lucky enough to work in secondary education, but if you are in elementary school and you are sitting with your kids, the same group of kids all day long, it's like you have to be very strategic about when you're going to the restroom, or you got to make sure you are asking someone else to watch your class while you go. And so then it's like, okay, let me not drink a lot of water, because if I drink too much water, I'm going to have to keep going to the restroom, and then I don't want to interrupt someone else, and they have to watch my class, and then I'll have to interrupt lessons, all the things. It's just like everything just has to be, planned out when it comes to your lack of health, right? And so that's what it tends to lead to. And so the conversation that I want to have with you is making sure that when you are going through this school year and every school year beyond this one, making sure that you are showing up and doing what's necessary for your health. Okay, so it's not enough for you to be a public success. Everybody sees your test scores. Everybody knows what's going on with your students. They have so much growth. They are doing so much better. You got all these A's in the grade book. They are passing the state test. But then when you go to your doctor, you look at your test scores, it's like my cholesterol is increasing. My blood pressure is increasing. I am now pre-diabetic. I am just doing all of these things to be a success to my students, but not being a success to my health. And that is so dangerous. Now, here's the thing also, Black women, if you are a Black woman who is watching this, if you were to increase your cholesterol, when you increase your cholesterol, you have a chance of then having heart disease. Once you have heart disease, like atherosclerosis, you have a higher incidence of, or possibility of having something like a heart attack. If you have a heart attack as a Black woman, you are 352% less likely to survive. Less likely to survive. Now, when I worked in cardiac rehabilitation, so teaching is actually my second career. It is not my first career, it's my second career. I worked in cardiac rehabilitation, I worked in physical therapy offices, I worked with those who are sick, I've also worked with those who are well. I just took all that information and knowledge and experiences and brought it into a biology classroom. And so that's why now I am an educator. But before becoming an educator as my second career, I had some experience in cardiac rehabilitation. Now, cardiac rehabilitation is when people have things like a heart attack. We go up to their room on the day that they're going to be discharged, and we encourage them to stay with the hospital to do all of their exercise to get back healthy. They would meet with me, the exercise physiologist. I would do their exercise plans, kind of work them up so that they can get back healthy. They would work with their nutritionist. They would have nutrition classes. There would be a nurse there. We will monitor their health. And so it was this controlled environment that they would be a part of, where they don't have to have a heart attack, get released from the hospital, and to go straight to LA Fitness and then just try to figure out things on their own, right? Because that can be even more dangerous. And so one of the things that typically happened is that when we had to talk to women, a lot of times the woman in comparison to the man, well, let me talk about the man first. When we would go and talk to the man after they had their heart attacks and their heart procedures, heart stents, all the things, and we say, hey, cardiac rehabilitation, come on here. We got this great facility. We got all of the monitoring. It is controlled environment, all the things. A lot of times the guys would take us up on the offer. They would say, yes, I would be there. When does it start? Give me the pamphlet. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to make it happen, right? They would often say, I'm ready to go. When it came to the woman, it was like trying to pull teeth to get the woman healthy, to say, hey, come on down here. We have this controlled environment. I think it would be great for you. We can start working on your blood pressure and getting you off the medications, all the things. And it was like pulling teeth. Now, what made the difference between the two? The difference between the man and the woman was typically lifestyle. When it came to the men were like, I'm going to say yes because I know my wife can pick up where I can't pick up, right? I can't mow the lawn right now because I have my chest cracked open. So my wife is going to mow the lawn. She's going to take care of the household. She's going to take care of the kids. Or if they had adult kids, it's like my adult children are going to come to the house and help take care of things. When it came to the woman, it was like, you know what? I have to go back to my reality of taking care of my household, taking care of my husband, taking care of the kids, taking care of my adult kids, taking care of my aging parents. I got to do all these things. So I don't think I would have time to be able to come and do something like a cardiac rehabilitation. And so not only is that what I saw when it came to healthcare, I also see that when it comes to individuals who are well. It's like, hey, come on to this program. This program is going to help you get off medications. It's going to help you lower your blood pressure, cholesterol, not be pre-diabetic, help you have longevity, help you to thrive, get rid of the headaches, get rid of the medication, save money because now you don't have to pay for the medications, and you can get back to thriving as an educator. And it is just like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I don't know if I have time. I don't know if it's just like, it's just, the lifestyle of the individual tends to stop them. And so I came across this article a little bit earlier today, and I did have a pull up. Let me pull it up real quick. I came across this article earlier where it talked about educators and their well-being, and it gave out this survey, and it talked about teachers' time spent on household duties was shaped by second jobs and children. So teachers' weekly hours spent on work, household duties, sleep, and leisure. And so men without children, men in this specific survey, spent 56 hours a week on leisure. Okay, specifically leisure. Let's talk about leisure, because leisure could also be like exercising, joy, peace, fun, taking care of your health. So they spent 56 hours a week on leisure. This is men without children. Women without children spend about 52 hours a week, okay? 51 hours of work, 52 hours of leisure. Men without children spent about 50 hours at work, 56 hours in leisure. Right? And then men with children spend about 50 hours of work, and these are educators, 50 hours of work, 36 hours of leisure. And then women with children had 49 hours at work and then about 30 hours of leisure. Okay, and so you see that leisure tends to decrease. It declines when children come into play. Like, what is it about having children that all of a sudden is like, I don't have time for play, I don't have time for leisure, I don't have time for anything? And so I get that. I truly do. I truly understand. I still remember when my kids were young and I had two who were in daycare. I was paying daycare for my firstborn and my secondborn. They both were in daycare at the same time. And I could barely get any paid time off, okay? And it started to get to the point where they were getting sick a lot because they were in daycare. And so now I'm cutting into my salary and my paycheck because I don't have any paid time off. And so when people say, hey, as an educator, take time off, self-care, take your day off, take your paid time off, it's like you got to consider people's lifestyle when people are throwing that out there, okay? So at the beginning of the school year, people gonna tell you, the middle of the school year, people gonna tell you, hey, pay time off, self-care, take time off. That conversation don't work for everybody. And that's why the conversation that I have is, I cannot just focus on leisure, because all of the times we think about leisure just when, your summer break. But I want you to focus on your health year round. That also includes when the school is open, when the district is open. You need to be focused on yourself at all times. You do not leave your health behind just because you are at work. Like, you don't. You do not leave your health behind. So why are you leaving your health behind and the information that you know to get your health better and the possibilities of having the information from a coach? You're leaving all of that behind just because the school year has started. Like, that is so dangerous. Now, again, my question is, you know how great of an educator you are, right? You looking at them test scores, your kids are doing amazing. But what are your scores? Do you know them? When will you get to know them? First thing you need to do is go and schedule your appointment. When's the last time you had an appointment? When's the last time you got your test scores? When's the last time you called? Now, one of the things that you might believe is no news is good news. So I got my test scores, but the doctor's office didn't call me to tell me what my scores were. You need to be calling them. If you have not called and talked to them, call and talk to them. See what your test scores are. That is your A1Cs, your vitamin D. A lot of us, especially as Black women, our vitamin D could be low, right? Right now, I am on a vitamin D supplement once a week. It is prescribed because my vitamin D was low. And I started to notice things was happening, like my hip bones were starting to hurt. Come to find out, my vitamin D was low. But I slowed down long enough and I paid attention enough to my body to say, what's going on? There are always signs, signals, and symptoms that's happening to your body. And you cannot forget about those things when the education, because you are a part of the education system. And that is what often happens. And next thing you know, it's like, man, it is super late. And now you're fighting and trying to urgently decrease your diabetes or your pre-diabetes or your weight or your cholesterol, all the things, okay? And so I want you to not lose your health to the education system this year. And the way that you are going to do that is you're going to figure out why you have such a wide gap between your health intentions and the reality of your health. If you have intentions to eat healthy, but the reality is you're not, that means you have a gap. You got to start closing that gap. So your intentions and your reality, they actually coexist. They are closer, okay? So you're going to go down to this description. You're going to take the Educator Health Gap Quiz. With the Educator Health Gap Quiz, it's going to tell you where in the formula, my Heal, Grow, Reset formula, you are beginning to lose your health, okay, and where you need to start closing that gap, okay? Because I want you to make sure that you have an amazing and successful school year. I don't want you to wait until the spring break, summer break, Christmas break, fall breaks to finally catch a break and to actually focus on your health. You do not have to lose your health to the education system, okay? So now that you have learned that, I want you to go and watch this video right here so that you can get your next step